So again, Tadd Wamester, excited to be here and to talk about how we can make all this work in practice. I'm going to pull upon my experience working with different partners, and there will be a breakout session following this lightning talk. So looking forward to hearing your questions after the presentation and also in the breakout room. So I want to go back to this slide um, because it is so important that we are actively building these programs and advocating for these programs. I was just speaking with an immigrant advocate out in Columbus, Ohio yesterday, and our conversation just kept on going. You know, thinking about the technical trainings, the boot camp trainings that exist in the community, um, and the credential programs, and the fact that they're not really accessible or inclusive for English language learners. They don't have an on-ramp. They don't have a bridge to help people to gain the skills and language proficiency that they need to succeed. I'm a big fan of apprenticeship programs. I think, especially for adult learners and job seekers, when you can earn and learn, it is really appropriate for the population who often needs to work. They can't focus exclusively on their education or training. So we've been, working on a number of pre-apprenticeship programs, and I encourage you to try to get involved with the workforce system and to support those on-ramps into apprenticeship programs. And then we're all trying to build integrated education and training programs leading to, career pathways. We know that that is the best way to bring skills and language training together. But often, people feel it can be challenging. But I think it's incredibly important right now when we think back to those job losses and those changes in demands. How are we helping people to retrain as quickly as possible? So this is the whole reason why we are here today. Thinking about how we can upskill and empower English language learners for the jobs of the future. The pandemic really accelerated a lot of things. It accelerated the use of distance learning strategies and technology in education programs. But as I mentioned, it changed job demands. And remote work, telemedicine have just become commonplace. And even in, when you think about facilities roles, been talking to a number of unions, and digital literacy is becoming more and more important by the day. Even if you are in an environmental services role, your interactions with technology are becoming more and more common. So, what is Voxy EnGen? What do we do? I want to give a quick introduction to the tool. So, as Katie mentioned, personalized learning is incredibly important. So, different ways that we personalize instruction would be, translation and navigation that's based on a learner's native language. Integrated assessment, so that the platform is going to adapt to their proficiency level. And then, of course, their ongoing performance is going to impact that. It's important, teachers are being asked to do so much more. So the more that they can have visibility into their students' usage of the platform is incredibly important. Having career pathways and the ability for learners to connect with the career and interest-specific topics that align with their goals helps to keep adult learners engaged. And then the fact that it is authentic, that it is real world, that it's up to date. I mean, how important is it that people are getting um, getting instruction on current events topics like the pandemic, like the recovery, um, our current events. It not only allows those learners to engage in conversation with their peers, but it's what they need. And then going back to that easy to run, understanding which learners are engaged, how much time on task, what courses they're completing. And all of this is going to improve the economic and workforce inclusion for English language learners, LEP individuals. So Katie had touched upon this slide, and one of the reasons that I wanted to talk about it was, workplace ESL programs, I really hope will become more and more common, and that more employers will get involved in upskilling their employees. And so last spring, as we were partnering with an employer in that e-commerce area, um, these are the topics that will allow job seekers and learners to connect with these emerging career fields, and also in warehouse environments, whether it's in that e-commerce warehouse, whether it's in a food production warehouse, understanding safety, warehouse machinery, forklift operations. That's a way that people are able to connect with advancement opportunities. The third time we're seeing this slide, um, you know, I'm thinking back to a classroom that I had visited pre-pandemic, um, and while the learners were all essentially intermediate level learners, there were incredibly different uh, backgrounds in terms of formal education, ranging from limited formal education all the way to individuals who were highly skilled and had masters or undergraduate degrees, and so giving them the content that aligns with their background and their goals. It again just allows for more personalization, individualization of content. This is a program that we started working with last fall, the Newport News Peninsula Regional Educational Program, the PrEP program. And I think it's an exciting model that we hope to see replicated. And so I wanted to dig into it a little bit. Into the three different steps. So step one is more of a traditional, ESL classroom program. It's not only focused on improving language proficiency, but also focused on gaining some of those, core job and workplace English, with the intention of transitioning into, in their case, one of three career pathway programs, an IT boot camp that is utilizing the content that we have around, English for software engineering and English for help desk and networking. We know that technology careers are continuing to grow, and the more that we can help people to connect with, the English language of technology careers, the better they will be able to succeed in those boot camps, and to succeed in one of those certification exams. They also have a logistics boot camp. These jobs are growing. There are certification programs, whether it's a logistics associate or a logistics technician. They're leveraging some of that, warehouse and manufacturing and the OSHA safety course that we just released. And then there's also a healthcare boot camp, focused on career fields like pharmacy tech and certified medical administrative assistant. So after the initial step where learners are kind of together and focused on general workplace English. They're then flowing into um, different customized career pathway programs with the intention of transitioning into certification programs that are offered at the local community college. So, this seems like when you look at it, it could be you know, um, a lengthy process to move through all of those steps. And what that means is the more that you can build in flexibility and accommodate different schedules, build in some self-paced learning opportunities, the more likely that people are going to be able to move from language learning to career pathway training, and then eventually to earn a relevant certificate and start their new career. Additionally, something that we've been talking about a lot is, and I think everyone has been hearing about, healthcare. Uh, During the pandemic, we know that a large percentage of immigrants and refugees are in those frontline healthcare positions. We were experiencing a healthcare, talent crisis before the pandemic that has only been exacerbated by all of the challenges that COVID-19 has brought upon us in 2020 and now into 2021. So how are we creating those on ramps and those integrated employment education and training programs that help English language learners and LEP learners connect with those career fields in a highly regulated profession? This is just a snapshot of something that Katie touched upon earlier. Um, that learners, the more that they are, that the vocabulary words, that the content directly relates to their career pathway, um, is going to help them to more rapidly gain the language they need to succeed. We've been working with a number of different allied health training programs in an employer, a union, as well as the nonprofit setting. And in many of those models, whether it's with incumbent workers, healthcare workers or workers in a healthcare environment, they may not be working in patient care roles, but they're good employees. And so I think more and more hospital systems are becoming interested in language upskilling programs that help their workers to gain the language proficiency and to prepare to transition into workforce development programs that are often a benefit of working within that organization. Similarly, within healthcare unions, whether you're thinking about nursing home workers, home health aides, CNAs, while this is also a career pathway that they can get into, many workers in that environment, whether they're in environmental services or food services, they can grow their career within a healthcare environment by rapidly connecting to the right content, the right vocational language that directly lines up with that career field. This is continuing to dig into one example of a vocabulary activity where learners are understanding how rapidly COVID-19 vaccines were developed. They are, utilizing audio, video, written passages. So they're interacting with this new vocabulary and the skills training in different ways, so that they're able to more rapidly incorporate that vocabulary into their learning. So this is a program example that I'm really excited to talk about at Emily Griffith Technical College, who we've been working with for a number of years now. The programming started with more traditional refugee language learning program. They wanted to offer more flexibility to their learners, who often, lived far away from the college campus. Maybe were working in, part-time or roles that had irregular schedules. So flexibility and offering self-paced uh, learning opportunities was one of the initial projects that we were collaborating on. But then it moved over or evolved into, again, supporting those on ramps into the CTE programs that are offered at the college. They have a wide variety of career and technical training programs, ranging from, healthcare, skilled trades, cosmetology and barbering, and what they're utilizing the content, the career pathway content, so that their learners in an ESOL class can differentiate the content that they're using, again aligning up with the career pathway that they are targeting, and as they're able to make those proficiency gains and really prepare for whether it's a CNA training program or a medical assisting program, um, they they're seeing a lot of success in terms of giving those learners the opportunity for a self-paced study and being able to better assess whether they're actually ready to enter and succeed in that CTE training program. This is another exciting program. Now, this was pre-pandemic. Um, the Welcoming Center for New Pennsylvanians, a leader in immigrant-focused workforce development programs. Uh, the nonprofit is located in Philadelphia, and again, initially they were, very interested in how do they offer more flexible and self-paced learning opportunities. And what they then launched was a program that was focused on both digital literacy, learning, career and workplace language learning. So the model there was when they were able to, have um, access to a computer lab, the instructors were able to, float and support learners who were either having technical challenges, just answer their questions, help them to understand and to identify what was the content that best aligned with their career goals. But some of the benefits that they did realize was, seeing how their learners were able to learn on the go, to able to learn using a mobile phone on the go. Um, and so that flexibility, and even for learners who got a job, which of course is one of the main goals of their program. But as those learners wanted to continue learning but could no longer participate in the classroom-based model, they were able to continue learning to track those learners on an ongoing basis as the learners' work schedule changed. This was the program that I was referencing at a large public library here in New York. Um, we had a comparison or a control group that didn't have access to a digital tool for self-study. The only thing I wanted to mention about that workplace ESL program was how important they set up mentors within the program. So learners had different digital literacy levels, and so they at this employer they set up peer support and mentorship, so that learners were able to help their peers who were having more challenges. And really the biggest thing they noticed was the how much confidence and morale improved as learners were feeling more confident with their language skills.